Absolutely. And in terms of the band, then you kind of broke up, you reformed, and then broke up again, didn't you? Just a couple of years later, and it's hard to say it's a regret or you wish it hadn't happened, but considering what happened afterwards with Bad Company and everything else. But do you look back and wish that the band had stayed together maybe just a little bit longer?
Do. Honestly, I do. I know Bad Company came out of Free and Mott the Hoople and King Crimson, but I do wish that we hadn't have been so. It wasn't, and I'm calling a spade here, but it was really Andy and Paul's wish to stop touring as Free and try other avenues. Because what happened with All Right Now, it propelled us into another dimension. And we started doing different countries, every other day instead of different towns in England. Our workload tripled or quadrupled or whatever. It really multiplied. And we were getting, quite honestly, we were getting really tired. And then we had to do another album because we were contracted. And suddenly we were on this carousel going round and round. And Island Records really didn't step up and say, you know what, guys, take a break, take 6 months off or whatever. You're young, you still got, No, they perpetuated the workload. So Andy and Paul, you got to remember, we were still only in our very early 20s, 21. Yeah. They said, we've had enough, we're done. And Free broke up. And the ramifications of that were that Koss became very depressed and he got strung out on various drugs. He became really, really, really bad. And knowing addiction as I do now, he should have gone into rehab instead of just going back to his flat and trying to get sober.
It all sounds very familiar tale. I was speaking to Mick Box from Uriah Heep, and he said pretty much the same thing. The record company kind of worked you, and David Byron should have been given a chance to do this, that, and the other. And it's sad the way it is. But from your point of view, it must have been difficult watching what happened with Koss then, because obviously you were friends for a long time before that, and I think you lived together for a while as well, didn't you?
I shared his apartment for a few months. Then I got my own place, but I still kept very close with him.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned David Byron. God, I remember Ken Hensley and David Byron was the first guy I know back in those days to die from his disease. And that was, God, nearly 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. Wow, a blast from the past. So, what happened with Paul, I just got fed up with him. Because knowing now, because I'm in recovery myself, but knowing now, what I should have wished I had known then, he was an addict. He was completely screwed up with the drugs, and he should have gone into, sought professional medical help. But I thought, screw it, I'm out of here. And I said, you're on your own. And it's something that I regret to this day. So I went off, and just had a sabbatical for a couple of months, during which time he got even worse. And then I got a call from Paul Rodgers and saying, our mate is really in bad shape and we should let's get back together. And we got back together, Paul, really for Koss. And that was not the best idea because number one, he was very weak and very not playing well at all. And we kind of got back together prematurely, I think Andy and Paul still had ideas or desires to have their own bands. So it was a very shaky reason to get back. Very honorable, but very shaky. And of course, it didn't last very long. And, we broke up again for good.